Flosstube, it's Lissa. I am back for my second episode, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the comments and subscribers and views. I was kind of blown away by it. So yeah, here we go, number 2. So today I have just a tiny bit of haul, and to be honest, I'm really not going to show haul on a regular basis unless it's something really special. I've got a pretty good stash already, so I really don't buy for stash at this point. I buy with a purpose of stitching like immediately, so it won't make it to a video before I start using it. Then I've got all the whips I worked on, which was a lot thanks to the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, and then some plans, and then a quick tag, and some thank yous, and a request at the end. So let's get started. So to start, my special haul for this week. So as I mentioned in my last video, a good stitchy friend of mine is June from McFly Stitches, and I commissioned her. She makes bags as well, and I do have a couple bags of hers that are fantastic, but I'm going to save those for another video, just so this one doesn't get too long. But I just, since my last video, got these notions pouches that I asked her to make for me, and she made 2 different sizes because I couldn't decide what I wanted. But basically, the way that I organize my floss is I have a master DMC set, which is what you're sitting on right now, bobbinated in floss boxes. Then when I go to kit up a project, I just cut off a length and I put it in these little like floss away bags. And then usually I put the bags on like a metal ring. But I was watching Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts, and she mentioned that she uses these little notion pouches to put hers in. And so I had one that I had gotten like at Joann's or something, and I loved it. So I tried to make one myself, and I made it way too small, so I gave it to my daughter to play with. And then I was just so frustrated and annoyed with it, I didn't want to try again. So I asked June to make these for me, and she even like boxed the bottom, which I didn't ask her to do, but it's brilliant. I'm glad that she did because I can fit so much more in now. And I told her just like pick any fabric scraps or whatever that you have laying around. You know, I don't care, because once we find the size that works, I'm gonna want one for like every single project. So it doesn't matter, you know. I'm not picky, but I love what she came up with. They're so cute and they're so well made. And I'm just really excited about them because I just got them, so I wanted to show that off a bit. So that was June at McFly Stitches, and she actually just created her first Flosstube video last week, so I will link her below, and you should definitely check her out. And I love all of her patterns as well. There's some coming up in my whips this week, so you will be hearing about her again in a few minutes. So for my whips, first I just wanted to talk about my ponies for a second. I keep mentioning them, and I don't think I said in my last video much about them, but it's something that I'm making for my daughter. She's almost 3, and she really likes My Little Pony. So I'm going to insert a picture. These are all patterns that I created from pick to pat. So I'm going to insert a picture of what like all 6 are going to look like. But they're 6 pretty long but narrow patterns, and they'll all line up like panels. So last week I showed you guys Fluttershy, and or 2 weeks ago, and that's the only one I've worked on since then. But the other one that I have going is Rainbow Dash, and she's a little more exciting because I'm actually working on the pony. But yeah, this is as wide as they'll each be. So they're pretty long, but they're actually not that huge. So yeah, there's Rainbow Dash. And then Fluttershy I worked on again this week. And so here is where this is at. So basically the panels, they alternate between having the cutie mark and the pony. So like Fluttershy, the cutie mark's on the top and the pony starts right here. Where Rainbow Dash, the pony's on the top and then her cutie mark. And you'll already know that because I inserted a picture already, so I didn't really need to explain that just now. But yeah, oh, and so what I did, last time I showed it, I had not finished this page. And you can see the page still actually isn't finished. There's a couple little ninja stitches here. And this is where the third butterfly like cuts in. And I just didn't want to do all those threads right there. I'll just pick those up when I do the butterfly on the next page. So there she is. And I haven't started the other 4 ponies. My plan, and you know how great plans work out, but my plan was to do 20% on each pony before I start the next one. Because I think if I get all 6 going, I'm never gonna make real progress on any of them. And there is kind of like a deadline here because she's gonna outgrow them by the time I finish them. I mean, she's almost 3 and this is how far I got. I did only start them this year though, so it's not like they've been languishing, but so each one is 5 pages high and 2 pages wide. So I did the first 2 pages on Fluttershy before I started Rainbow Dash. And now I've already met my 20% goal on Rainbow Dash because she's my favorite pony, so I just kept stitching on her. But since I have these first 2 pages done, I didn't even need to start this in order to like earn my next pony. I need to finish 1 more page on Fluttershy, and then I can start the 3rd pony. But it'll get increasingly harder because then I have to do 2 pages on 3 ponies, so I'll have to do 6 pages total before I start the 4th pony. Are you following me? So, I don't know. These are kind of a priority for me just because I don't want her to outgrow them. I don't want to put all this work in and have her not even like them anymore. But I'm over 30 and I still like ponies, so maybe that's not something to worry about. I mean, I don't like them enough that I'd hang them in my house unless she wanted me to, but I feel like I've got a little bit of time left. So the next thing I worked on was Cinderella by Toto Stitch, and I showed you this last time. So this is what it's going to look like, and I'm pretty sure I showed you this last time. So if I did, I will insert the picture here of what it looked like. So this I was working on, everything I work on is for the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. If I can't make it fit, then I don't work on it, basically. But, you know, they're like most Facebook groups, tell the story, they're in, you know, it's not strict, it's easy to make something fit. So this I was working on because we had to work on something, a design where the name began with the letter from the word sorcerer, so Cinderella. So that's how far I got. And none of my whips are going to have like a huge amount of progress because the most we have to stitch on, the most stitches we've had to do is 1,000, and that's for like the ultimate year long. Most of our weekly homework is only 1 to, I think 500 stitches was the most, but like most of them are 1 to 200 stitches. So it's really not that hard, and I never thought that I would like that. I did Mania last year for the first time because my birthday's in May and I turned 31, and so I thought, you know, 31 days in May, and I always kind of wanted to do a Mania, and I was turning 31, so I figured I should just do like a full-blown Mania, so I did. And I didn't love it. Like, I like now that I have all these projects, even if they're barely started, starting a project is my least favorite part. So having them like in my whip bin, I mean, and there are some that I haven't touched since then, but most of them I have, and I like that part of it, but the switching every day I was not a huge fan of. But now I'm switching every day, or I mean mostly. Sometimes I work on more than one a day, and it's not bothering me at all. I'm kind of loving it. I love that I get to work on all my projects. I love all these little tiny goals. They feel so achievable, and so I feel really productive, and I'm really enjoying it. So as long as I'm liking it, I'm just going to keep going, planning everything around my homework, which does make, when we get to plans, I'll talk more, but it does make it hard to plan because they release homework on Mondays. So if I continue to film on Fridays, I'm only going to be able to plan out like a day or two at most. But we'll see, we'll see. So next I worked on Paladin by Firewings Designs, and this I was totally inspired by Jessie Marie. She converted her dragons and she's doing them like the Game of Thrones dragons, and I'm completely copying her. I'm doing the exact same thing. I thought that was a brilliant idea. So this is the first one. And I worked on this for 2 challenges. One was an extra credit assignment where you watch the movie and you stitch and you post a before and after of your stitching. And I just like this one because it's monochrome, so you don't really have to think too much. It's kind of big blocks. It's good TV stitching. And I kind of missed it, so I pulled it out for that. But then the very next week, they posted a challenge to do with fire. I mean, obviously dragons are a great choice for that. So here's where it is now. So I'm not too far, but not terrible. It's not showing up quite as well on camera. It's kind of blending into my fabric, but it pops a lot more in person. The only thing I'm worried about is, you know, I'm copying Jessie Marie, so there'll be 2 other dragons in much bolder colors, and I'm a little nervous that that will make this one disappear a bit, but I'm gonna backstitch it. And Jessie's backstitching hers in PB 26. It's the one that's like Aztec gold or something, I think. And I don't know, I might do that. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to backstitch it. And I have to figure out my color conversions for the other 2 as well. I think this is the exact one that Jessie's doing. It was kind of perfect for Viserion. I couldn't think of anything better. But I don't think she's said what she's doing for the other 2, so I might have to come up with those on my own. But I do love this one. And this was kind of perfect because I am a Game of Thrones fan, but I'm not like such a fan that I want like Jon Snow hanging in my house. But this is one that like, it's not obvious. If I didn't tell you it was Game of Thrones inspired, you wouldn't necessarily know. So I like that about it. So I had to mute my phone. I got cut off there for a second. But my next whip is No Two Persons by McFly Stitches. And she's the one who sent me the Notions pouches, and you can find her on Etsy. So I did this one for one of the year-long stitching challenges, and they're all to do with the number 7, how the number 7 is repeated so much throughout the books and movies. And so this one was that there are 7 books, and obviously the whole pattern is a stack of books, so that was pretty easy to make it fit. So there's that. So at this point, I had finished my weekly homework. I was waiting for the next homework to come out, so I figured I would just do 1,000 stitches on this to start on the ultimate extra credit, because there's 22 of those. So I need to do 1 or 2 every month to keep up. So next, the next day was the anniversary of Alan Rickman's passing, and as I've mentioned multiple times, I am a true Slytherin, and I loved Snape and I loved Alan Rickman. So I wanted to do an always pattern to commemorate him. And it turned out that that day they had posted our next week of homework, and one of it was to stitch on something soft. So I don't have a printout of the finished pattern. I will insert that here. You can see there's a deer, so that's soft. So I started that. And this was by Mary Bory Embroidery, I think. If I got that wrong, I'll have already inserted the correct name. But she's on Etsy, and I just loved the colors. I just really wanted to do something for always. You know, I've been looking for an always pattern for a long time, but this one was just really cute. So the next thing I worked on was Beauty and the Beast, and this was because, by Donut Stitch, and this was because we needed something to do with light. And you can see down here is this little candelabra, so that's clearly light. So that's what I use this for. Now I'm nowhere near down there. I'm not even close to down by the candelabra. But for this week, that didn't matter. As long as it was in the pattern, it still counted. So here's where I got to on that. And this one gave me such a headache. So this was a mania start. And all I had done, and you can kind of see here where I frogged, I had just done like this one little leg, basically. It was not a good mania start. It was just barely started. So I go to work on this, and I started a lot of donut stitches during mania. And one that I'd pulled out last year, Rapunzel, I had totally screwed up on centering it. I wanted to start them all in the top, but in the center. And it was way off. Like, I couldn't even fit it on the fabric. I ended up having to put it in the UFO pile, and I'll restart it at some point. But so as I've been pulling these out, I've been extra careful to make sure that they are centered. And I don't know, I had it in my head that this little bit here wasn't centered. So I ripped it out and I restarted it. And when I restarted it, it was totally off. Like, I'd really blown it. So I ripped that out and I started again. And this is how far I got. I like how fast these go. I feel like you can make a lot of progress in a little bit of time because of the color blocks. And after some of my larger pieces, like those ponies, there's so much confetti. And you probably don't believe that from looking at what I showed you, because they look like big color blocks as well. But actually, each pony has something like 70 to 80 colors in it. And like just those little portions that I've shown you so far, the background is the only thing that's solid. Every other color has a million colors mixed in. Like those Fluttershy butterflies, just the wings alone have like 7 shades of pink. And then the little body, that like teal body, I don't even know, over a dozen probably in the body of those butterflies. So they are confetti heavy. And, you know, probably not as bad as a Max Color Haid, but they're as bad as I ever want to do. So that's why I started all these, because I was kind of burned out on the confetti, and I just wanted something fun and easy and relaxing, you know. So next up, I worked on my Big Red Ship of Life. And I worked on this for a challenge. We had to stitch on something that grows, and there's people and animals and plants, and they all grow. But then I did 1,000 stitches on this for the 7 Weasley children for the ultimate stitching challenge. And you know, the Weasleys are all redheads, and this is full of little people with red heads. So I did, I just carried this down, and I have it almost down to the bottom now. So I was really happy with that progress. I didn't like stitching that border, but I'm really happy that it's almost done now. So this isn't all going to fit in frame. But here's where I am. And I worked on this part right here, carrying down that vine for the boils potion, the things that grow. And then, like I said, I just took this border almost all the way down for the 1,000 stitches of the Weasleys. So if I come all the way back here, you can see that's almost as tall as it's gonna get. So that's pretty exciting. Next up, that was the end of week 3. So then they released week 4, and now we're trying to find the Philosopher's Stone. And so you have to do these tasks in order. And this week has not been a great stitching week for me. I haven't been feeling well. I had to get some testing done. And I just really have not been stitching much at all. So I've started the 3rd piece of the homework so far, and it's already Friday. But I'll definitely knock it out this weekend. I'm not worried. It's only 100 stitches per, unless you can't find something that fits the theme, and then you have to do 200 stitches for forfeit. But even 200 stitches just isn't that bad. And I've found something to fit all the themes but one. So first was, I'm going to bring it up on my phone, but first was Meet Fluffy. So stitch an animal, extra point if it's a dog. obviously I needed that extra point. So I stitched on The Wizard of Oz by Brooks Books, and I'm going to insert a picture right here of what that's going to look like, and I am doing all 12 characters. And here's where I am now. So I had started on the Scarecrow a long time ago, and that's as far as I got. So I needed to work my way over to Toto, who luckily was right next to the Scarecrow. And if he hadn't been, I probably would have started something for my sister, because they have a beautiful little puppy who is not a little puppy at all. He's humongous, but I keep like looking for the right thing to make for him. I just haven't found it yet. So I used Toto, and Toto only has 96 stitches, and we needed 100. So I just put in a couple bricks on the road to help me count over. So that's where I am. And I just realized that I haven't been telling you what all my fabrics are. So, you know, feel free to comment below if you care. But most of them are pretty much just something I put out of stash and I don't even know what it is. This one is an Under the Sea Fabrics by Leslie. It's a 36 count linen in Aryan. I don't know. I got this for something else and I can't remember now what it was. But I wasn't expecting it to be like so pink. I thought it would be more like this side. So it didn't work for whatever I had originally bought it for. But I liked it for this because it's kind of cutesy. I don't know. I don't mean that to sound bad. It just kind of goes with the cartoon Brooks Books theme. So then the next one is Devil's Snare. So stitch on something green and you get an extra point if it's a plant. So I put out 12 days, and last time you saw it, I had almost finished this block, and that's still almost finished. So I came over to this block and stitched on these little plants here around him, and that's kind of perfect because this is the stitch along that I'm doing with Amy Gable's Stitcher, and I'll link her below as well. And we were trying to do one block a month. So this was my January block, and I hadn't quite finished it. And this is my February block. So I feel good that I got like a little over 100 stitches in on this one because it makes me feel like I'm on track. I didn't quite finish my January block because I ran out of this sleeve color, but I have enough stitches in. It's good enough. So here's where I am on that. And this is on a 28 count Monaco, which is my most favorite fabric to stitch on by far. Like, no question. I've learned I'm really not a fan of linen. My stitches look wonky. I can never get the fabric pulled tight enough. And it's not every linen, because like my Paladin Dragon, that's on a linen. And that doesn't bother me at all. If you remember last time I mentioned I had been stitching Raven Queen on a Witchell linen, and I had to stop that one. I couldn't do it. This Wizard of Oz, the linen is not my favorite. I can't get it like stretched taut enough, so my stitches just look really weird. And it might be too that it's 36 count plus shrunk from being dyed. So maybe that's my issue, is I really shouldn't probably be using I'm stitching at 2/2, so maybe it's just too many threads and that's why it looks weird. But going from that to this was just like, oh, I love this fabric so much. So then the last one that I worked on was for task number 3, and that's related to the flying key room. So the task is to stitch on something metal. So you could use a metallic thread, stitch on a key, a lock, do beading. And I'd really like to do beading because I've got a couple pieces that are almost done except for some beading, but I still need to buy the beads, and I keep putting it off because I just don't want to pull them out and figure out what I need, which does not sound like a good excuse when I say it out loud, but I'd just rather be stitching, so I keep putting those aside. So I figured I'd pull out Brave, and like I said, all these donut stitches I start in the top center, so I was like, well, there's a crown, and crowns are made of metal, and that's perfect. I'll put in my stitches on the metal crown, right? Well, I pull it out, and I've already stitched the entire crown. The whole thing was finished. Not one stitch left on it. So I'd already gone through my stash pretty extensively, and I probably could have like gone through again and found my whip pile, and found something that fit. But I already had this out, and I wanted to stitch on it, so I decided to just do the forfeit. So I'm working on the bear's ear now, and I'm just going to do 200 stitches, and I think this is like 60 something already, so good progress. Like I said, these stitch up so quick. I'm really not worried about it. I'm sure I'm going to get it done pretty quickly. And then that is the first of my plans. So, like I said, my plans just kind of all revolve around this School of Magical Stitches and Literature. Once they release the next homework, then I'll figure out what I have that I can work on. But for the rest of this week, I can tell you what I have. Okay, so my plans for the rest of the week. The next task up is number 4, Wizard's Chess. So stitch on something royalty related. So what I forgot to mention about this week is they upped the ante. So you can't just stitch on something that has the task somewhere in the piece. So like on the Wizard of Oz, I couldn't stitch on the Scarecrow. I had to stitch Toto. You have to stitch the dog. So I have all these Disney Princess Donut stitches that are all royalty related, but I'd have to count all the way down to the princess, and I'm just not really close enough on any of those that I really want to do that. So I thought about using Brave again, because I'm at the top where the bear is, and if you've seen Brave, the bear is the queen, so I could totally stitch the bear and call that royalty because she's a queen. But I've got this weird thing in my head where, and I need to get over it, I really need to stop, but I just like don't want to reuse a project in the same challenge. So like I've used Paladin in January extra credit and January week 3, and like for some reason I'm cool with that, but I don't want to use the exact same pattern in the same challenge. So I don't want to use Brave in week 4 for Medal and then use it again for royalty, if that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense because I'm crazy, and especially for the year-long ultimate like Sevens challenge, I really need to get over it, because like Death by Cross Stitch, I can make that fit in so many ways, but I keep thinking like, well, which one's going to be the hardest to find something else for? I should use it for that, and like I just need to use it for all of them. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just a crazy thing sometimes. So anyway, royalty, I can't use Brave. So I'm using my Snow Queen. And this was a Mania start, and I started right in the middle, which I'm kind of mad at myself for, and I haven't touched it since then because I hate stitching up. I hate it. So I've just been putting her off and not stitching on her. So you'll see I have like basically not even a start on this. You can hardly call it a start. And this is on 32 count Storm Lugana by Picture This Plus. This is all I have. Does that even count as a start? I don't even think that counts. But that's what I have. So I'm pretty sure it's her dress, like right here in the middle. So the reason I picked this is because I'm working on the queen, so I can stitch right off of where I was, continue on her dress, and it's on the queen, so that's royalty. So that's what I'll do next once I finish the 200 stitches on Brave. And then task number 5 is the troll. So this is your largest project. And I had a couple, I really don't know what my largest project is. Like, and is it just width by height, or is it like actually number of stitches? Because, you know, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But no one can say that Death by Cross Stitch is not a troll piece. So this is what I'm going to use for it. Mostly because stitching on Big Red Ship of Life made me miss Death by Cross Stitch. They just like, when I stitch on one, I want to stitch on the other. So here's where I'm at with that. And I just love this one so much. So 100 stitches isn't gonna get me too far on this, but like I said, I have so many ideas for how to make this fit on the Sevens challenges. So it'll definitely be getting a lot of love this year. I need to just like start stitching them and just pick challenges, but I don't know guys. Alright, so then the next one is potions and logic. So stitch on something that puzzles you, such as specialty stitches or new threads. So I'm going to stitch on my chatelaine, and boy does this puzzle me. This is my first chatelaine. It's the Scotland mandala, and I'm just very intimidated by it. I don't exactly know why I'm intimidated, but I guess it's all the different kinds of thread and the beads and the specialty stitches, and I'm working this from the center out, like as you normally would for a chatelaine mandala, which is not how I like to work things, so that's kind of like messing with my head a bit too. But yeah, I'm not very far on this one either because, like I said, it's just freaking me out. I can't explain it. So this is where I'm at. And I need to look at the pattern and see if I can count over to some specialty stitches, which I'm sure I can. I'm sure there are specialty stitches in there. But if I can't, like if there aren't any close enough that I'm comfortable counting, I might just say this whole pattern puzzles and intimidates me. I don't know. That's silly, right? But it does. So this is a witchelt, actually, which, I mean, I know I've mentioned before I'm normally not a fan of, but this is really a nice fabric. It is a, I don't know the count. It's a Jobelin, 28 count, hand-dyed Jobelin in chai tea. I just really like that. And I used the viewer, is that what it's called, to see which one to put behind, because I was partly like, do I really want a hand-dyed for a chatelaine, because you don't even see that much of it. And then I thought, like, you know, behind the castles there's like these sky, I think you stitched that though, but I put it in the viewer and it looked really good on this one. It really made everything pop. So I guess there's like just enough fabric see-through that it's gonna be so good. I'm really excited, and I really want to work on it, and I haven't even finished kitting it up yet. All I have for it is the DMC. I haven't bought any of the specialty threads or beads or anything yet, because I just didn't want to spend that much if I was going to be too afraid to ever stitch it. And so I figured I'll start with the DMC and just buy the rest kind of as I need it. So we'll see. But this one puzzles me. I know that's silly, but that's my answer. And then the last task for this week, so the last one that I know about, is the mirror. So stitch on something that you love. I love all my patterns, but I was missing this this stabby pattern by McFly Stitches. I started this and just did the outside border, but I don't know, right now this is what's calling to me. When I get to this point, I might not be feeling it. I might choose something else, but this is where I'm at. And it's not showing well on the camera, but I converted all the blues to greens, and this is that Stardust Ada, so it's like sparkly and gold, and I can't get the greens to show correctly, but I don't know. Trust me, they look really nice with the gold. So that is as far as I got with plans. And then on Monday they'll release the final January homework, and I assume it's gonna have something to do with fighting Quirrell or Voldemort. And I'm so excited to see like what they're gonna do, because January ends Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know. It's a short week, so I assume it's going to be like a really short homework. So it might be like when we fought a troll a week or two ago, we just had like, we didn't know how long we were going to have, but we assumed at least 24 hours, I think, or they told us at least 24 hours. And we had to post a whip and then work on it. And then that was like fighting the troll by working on our whip. So I don't know, it might be something like that, like something easy and not 700 to 1400 stitches. That'd be good. But if they're going to cut it off in the middle of the week, I assume they're going to give us a pretty simple homework, just because a lot of people need the weekend to do heavy stitching. So I'm excited, but we'll see. So next, I just want to do a really quick tag, and it's by Cheryl at Tranquil Stitches, and it's called the True Confessions tag. And she gave me the sweetest shout out in her last video. I think it was number 41, and that's also where she posted this tag. And it was so nice. I was just blushing and giggling like a little schoolgirl. It was, I don't know, it was really cute. So you should go watch it, and that'll make me blush even harder that I just sent you to watch someone say nice things about me. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to do the tag, the True Confessions tag. So number 1, what's your sign? I am a Gemini. Number 2, have you ever been skinny dipping? I haven't. Like I said last time, I live in Pittsburgh, so even in the summer, the water is freezing. It's not like a bathing suit really offers you any extra warmth, but yeah, it's literally never crossed my mind to skinny dip. Number 3, what TV show is your guilty pleasure? I have so many. Honestly, I typically watch guilty pleasure shows. Like, I don't know. I don't want anything too deep. So like right now, I'm watching Grey's Anatomy again. And I just finished watching You on Netflix. That show is messed up. But that's definitely a guilty pleasure type of show too. Number 3, do you hide any food from your family members? We hide treats from my daughter. That sounds like she's a dog. We just hide like candy and cookies just on a shelf. She knows they're there. They're not hidden. She just can't reach it, so she has to ask for them. The shelves that she can reach only have like healthy snacks. But that's it. Number 5, who was the first person you kissed? I honestly don't know. I'm pretty sure I had a boyfriend in preschool. There are family stories about him. Eddie, I think. So maybe him. Oh, I don't know. Number 6, what is your worst habit? Caffeine. I actually like had to think about this for a long time because, you know, I have quite a few bad habits. And I asked my husband and he said caffeine, and I was like, oh, duh. I drink way too much coffee. Number 7, do you sleep with a stuffed animal? We're getting personal here, but I'm ashamed to say, yes, I do. I have a little stuffed tiger named Maharaja that my husband got for me when we went to Disney with my sister a million years ago. I don't even know how long. It was probably at least 10 years ago. And yes, Maharaja sleeps in my bed. Number 8, if you suddenly became invisible, what's the first thing you would do? I don't know. Cheryl said she would play a trick on her husband. That sounds fun. I thought about like sneaking into preschool and watching my daughter because she acts so differently around other people, and then as soon as she sees that we're around, she almost like reverts to acting more like a baby with us. But then at preschool, like they tell us all these things that she says and does, and like it's so hard to believe that she's so grown up there. But what sounds most appealing is to just go somewhere like a library and sit in the quiet and stitch and read and just be totally left alone for a little while. Just like off the grid, check out, unreachable. Number 9, do you have a silly nickname? I don't know if it's silly. My sister, well, a lot of my family calls me Lala. My sister's younger than me, and that's how she said my name when she was really young, and it stuck. But I don't know, Lala, is that silly? Maybe. Number 10, have you ever eaten something off the floor? I mean, I'm sure that I have, but not that I can remember. Like as a child, I'm certain I did, but no, I don't eat things off the floor now. Number 11, have you ever been stood up? Not that I can recall. And number 12, have you ever used someone else's toothbrush? This is probably gonna gross everyone out, but I use my husband's toothbrush all the time. If I like misplace mine, if I forget to take it on vacation, I don't know. It doesn't faze me. I mean, yeah, it doesn't faze me. I don't think he loves it, but he's never stopped me, so. So that was Cheryl's tag. I thought that was just a really fun, I mean, it's brand new, but, so obviously I haven't seen it before, but fun questions. So thank you, Cheryl, for the tag, and thank you again for the shout out. It was, oh, I was so touched. One more thank you. I wanted to say thank you to Kate and Vicky again for running this Harry Potter group. Just the amount of time it must take these ladies is astonishing. You know, they have lives, they have families, they have jobs, and they're still spending an insane amount of time running this group. So I just want to say thank you and, you know, kind of remind everybody that we should just follow the rules and be nice and not make this any harder than it has to be, because I would be crushed if they decided that they couldn't keep up with it and stopped partway through the year or something. So let's just do what we can to make this as easy as possible, because it is really so much fun. And I mean, I'm on book number 7 or 8 for this month already because of this group. And to put that in perspective, since my daughter was born 3 years ago, I maybe read 10 books in 3 years. I was an avid reader before that. The year before I got pregnant with her, I think Goodreads says I read about 120 books. But then, I don't know, mommy brain, I guess. I just could never get into a book. I couldn't like focus enough. I couldn't stay attentive. So I kind of sort of like listened to audiobooks, read a book here or there, but it was, I mean, really hardly anything. It would take me months to get through one audiobook. And that is how I'm doing most of them now. I'm listening as I stitch, but I'm just so excited that I'm 8 books into the year or 7 books into the year already. I'm just really enjoying it, and I'm enjoying all these projects. This was only 2 weeks, and how many projects did I work on? Like 10 or something? I mean, that's crazy to me. I always thought that I couldn't start a Flosstube because even though I have a lot of whips, I'm somewhat of a monogamous stitcher. I would stitch one thing like per week, say, maybe 2 in 1 week. And so it's just like, what am I ever gonna have to show? And now, after 2 weeks, I feel like I waited too long. Like this is gonna be a really long video, especially compared to my first one. I feel like I'm gonna need to start stitching or start filming like every week to keep up. But I mean, so far I really love it. It's been so nice to feel like I'm making progress on so many of my whips. It's been a blast. So then the very last thing I wanted to say, I had someone comment on my last video who is also from the Pittsburgh area, and she's asking if I knew of any LNSs around here, and I don't. I'm pretty sure there are none. The LNSs that I have seen, they're really like more embroidery. Like I think they have threads, but I've never seen an LNS that sells patterns or fabric. I have to get almost everything online or at a big box store. So I'm just curious if anybody else out there is from Pittsburgh and you know of somewhere, please let me know. I would love to check out some new shops and support some local needlework shops. And then lastly, anyone from Pittsburgh, if you know of any frame shops, the only ones I know of are like big box stores. I'd really like to support a smaller shop, like a mom and pop shop, but I would like a recommendation, someone that can handle needlework, that has done needlework before. I'm scared to hand my stuff over to someone who doesn't typically do that. So if you know of anything, please let me know. And that is it for today. This is gonna be such a long video. I hope that you stuck through all this. Like I said, I hope that I'm gonna get to film every week. I actually was looking forward to filming so much last weekend. I thought I might do it. I don't know if you can see right there, my husband and my daughter bought me flowers to put in my video. They're almost dead now because that was a week ago, and this is the first time I had a chance to film. But hopefully I can find some time in a week, and that should make it easier too, because I won't have nearly as much to talk about. So that's a plan. And thanks for spending some time with me, and have a great day. Bye.